Fatality.
I think the idea for fatalities just came from the desire to rub it in someone's face, to just finish that person.
We always liked the idea of letting the player, get a free hit on somebody.
The fatality plays an importance because it's a way to really put like an exclamation point on the end of a fight.
It's a sort of an arcade mentality, when everybody's competing against each other, and everybody's watching, you want to be able to just jab that guy, a little bit more.
And if you were able to do a fatality, it was something that made you cool. How did you do it? And you can kind of either keep it a secret or, share the information.
It was a major enticement. I think as time went on, it became an expected part of a Mortal Kombat game that you couldn't conceivably put out a Mortal Kombat game without having fatalities in it.
Some of the ideas for fatalities in Mortal Kombat 1 came from pop culture, from some movies that we had seen, comic books or whatever, just, things that really struck us as being violent.
For Mortal Kombat 1, probably my favorite fatality was the one that was the most controversial, which is the spine rip from Sub-Zero. That was the one that usually got the most attention, the most oohs and ahs in the arcades.
We wanted to do a sort of a fatality, sort of a move, but that wasn't really a fatality.
When we came up with the idea of the pit and knocking somebody down into the spikes below, we really wanted to make sure that we had a fatality in the game that anybody could do.
It actually wasn't played up like a regular fatality because it didn't have the whole choreography. It was just all of a sudden you were punched off the bridge and you fell and died.
With Mortal Kombat 2, we wanted to do everything bigger and better, and also with that game, we realized that fatalities had such a big impact into people's reaction to the game. With Mortal Kombat 1, it was something that we threw in there. We said, okay, maybe people are going to like it. Let's see. With Mortal Kombat 2, we knew that was a showcase feature for these games.
We added a second fatality to give the game some legs. I mean, there wasn't just one fatality you had to learn. Now you had to learn two.
I think it was all about being, bigger and badder and better.
And we really wanted to kind of push the envelope again, kind of do something that was very, over the top in terms of just the shock value.
Flawless victory.
My favorite fatality from MK2 was Kitana's kiss and inflate fatality. We really started, introducing levels of humor into the game. It wasn't so dark, and so when Kitana kissed the guy and then he inflated and exploded, it was outrageous, it was violent, but at the same time there was humor in it. I liked always kind of combining the two. It's kind of like, dark comedy.
My most memorable fatality from Mortal Kombat 2 would probably be Liu Kang turning into the dragon and biting the guy. I worked on that particular one, and it kind of stands out because it's so big. The dragon, you don't expect, a character. He's the only character that turns into anything, I think, in Mortal Kombat 2.
I think Kung Lao's, because Kung Lao has always been one of my favorite characters. He kind of has this Clint Eastwood, the brow thing going on, and the blade on the hat, and it was just, it's gruesome, is the, taking the hat and split down the middle, and the body does the whole.
I guess I remember the Scorpion one where he demasks and then you see his skull and then he burns you up with flames out of his mouth.
This is the only remaining artifact of the infamous plastic skeleton model. Basically, so we have to take a model like this, like the skeleton arm, and we move it up and put like a piece of clay in here. Take a picture, move it up, put a piece of clay, take a picture, and do this. So it's, essentially you'd have this motion. So all of a sudden, then we put that in the computer, and that would go ahead and like paint fire on it. If you ever were caught on fire, this is the natural motion you would probably do.
Flawless victory.
We had to add more stage fatalities to Mortal Kombat 2 to up, the ante on, for Mortal Kombat 1.
The pit was a huge success in Mortal Kombat 1, so we wanted to kind of come up with like a pseudo 3D version of it. We had a pit, you knock the guy down the pit, but this time the camera angle was from the top.
And the guy is falling, so he's stationary, but the background scales up, so it looks like it's getting closer. So that was really, it was cool. So the guy would go and smack, you know, hit the ground.
I think the idea of friendships came from the reaction to all the attention that Mortal Kombat 1 was getting with its fatalities. And so it was kind of like our way of making fun of that, all the attention that that game got because of the fatalities.
And so the thought was, well, we can be nice too and put in these friendships instead. So instead of ripping someone's heart out, you can give them a cake.
My favorite friendship move is probably Liu Kang's disco dance one. That's probably the silliest one. It's just so completely out of character.
The friendship that sticks out in my mind is the one where Jax has the paper dolls and, you know, stretches them out. That's pretty funny.
Finish him.
My recollection of fatalities is I remember Dan Forden, who's the audio guy. He came up to me and he said, you know, hey, how about we do something called a fatality where you turn your opponent into a baby.
And I'm not sure what that was about, but I think it was from searching through sound effects CDs for stuff for the game, and I came across some babies crying or something. And I don't know, it just sort of popped in my head. It's like, well, what if like you turned them into a baby and then they would cry or something? And so,
and I was like, you know, why would you do that? And he was just like, no, I just think it'd be funny. And you know, that was pretty much good enough for me. So, you know, all it required